Bine ai venit la Business Online Simplificat! Sunt Alexandra și sunt obsedată cu tot ceea ce ține de online business, marketing și împlinire personală. Cred cu tărie că oricine poate să înceapă un business online într-un domeniu pe care îl adoră și nu trebuie să fie deloc complicat. Aș vrea să redefinim împreună ce înseamnă succesul pentru tine. Vom discuta fără perdea despre bani, mentalitate, griji, modele de afaceri online și tot ce ține de digital marketing. Pentru ca tu să ai inspirația și instrumentele necesare să pornești sau să-ți crești businessul online. Hi Lance, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
I'm amazing. Thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm so excited to have you here. So Lance, you are a mentalist and a hypnotist.
Yes, that is correct.
Tell me, for how long have you been doing that?
Well, both have different timelines. I feel like my whole life has been devoted to understanding the mind and people and why we do the things that we do. But 13 years ago, I started in the world of mentalism, which for those that don't know, basically I entertain people. I do corporate events, weddings, private parties, now virtual events and seminars and meetings and things like that. And what I do in these events as entertainment is I read people's thoughts. I guess what they're thinking, influence their behavior, predict their behavior. There are moments of strange coincidence, lie detection, things like this. So that's pretty fun. And that I started 13 years ago. And then around, I would say now 9 years ago, I started in hypnosis. And I didn't go straight into hypnotherapy, which is what I'm mainly doing now. I started with street hypnosis. And for those that don't know, street hypnosis is hypnosis for entertainment. So not for therapy or therapeutic purposes. So no quitting smoking, no anxiety cure or for stress, nothing like that. It was simply hypnotic phenomena for fun, right? So I don't know how fun you think hallucinating things is, but it got that far. You can make people hallucinate things. You can make them see something that's not there, not see something that is. In 2 minutes, somebody can forget their name. They can believe they have a completely different name. And, really crazy things like that you see on television and you think they're fake, right? You think people are acting or they were paid to do what you see them doing, but not at all. Not at all. Even I was skeptical when I started. I didn't think that the things that I now do and they're like whatever, second nature, were possible. But I started there and then I transitioned. It was a natural transition. In a way, I don't feel like I chose it. I feel like it chose me. Because one day I just thought, well, I have this understanding of how to bypass the conscious mind and go into the subconscious and change a person's perception of reality. How do I use this to help people? Right? Not just to have them smile and laugh and have a good time, but to actually leave a permanent imprint and impact on their lives, right? And that was the transition from there to Neurolinguistic Programming and then hypnotherapy. And now here we are, changing people's lives one mind at a time.
One mind at a time. I love this. Lance, tell me, what issues do people have when they're coming to see you?
Well, my usual client is someone that knows exactly what they need to be doing. They know exactly what they should be doing. They know what they want, but they don't have the clarity how they're going to get there, or they don't have the confidence and the peace of mind to actually go and take action. They don't have the motivation and the drive to actually implement what they know they should be doing. So they procrastinate for a number of reasons. We procrastinate basically because we've associated pain and discomfort with the thing that we know we should be doing, and pleasure and comfort with its opposite. And so why is that? Maybe there's a fear of failure or fear of success, fear of what other people will think, right? Maybe there is some past trauma. Maybe the person tried this in the past and they think that it's going to not work out the second time around because it didn't work out the first. Maybe it's some internal dialogue, something someone said or did when they were younger that made them lose faith in themselves. The self-doubt, the lack of confidence, these are all things that hold us back from doing what we know we should be doing. So most people that I come into contact with, most people that reach out for help with hypnotherapy, coaching, and neurolinguistic programming is because they know what they want, but they're not getting it. And the reason why they're not getting it is because they're not taking action. And there's an internal battle inside. It's like literally having a devil on one shoulder, an angel on the other, and you don't know what to do or who to listen to, right? A little voice says, oh, you should quit smoking, right? And another voice says, oh, no, you should smoke another cigarette, right? And that's another big issue people come to me for. So eliminating bad habits. And yeah, it's, you know exactly what you should be doing, and you're not doing it. You're self-sabotaging, basically. That's one thing. And the other thing, of course, is past traumas, anxiety, depression, things like that. Yeah. So where the past is affecting your present and your future, right? Because we're focusing on what happened back there, and we're letting what happened back there define us in this present moment. So getting rid of that, getting rid of the grip that the past events have over our lives right now is also a really, really big issue.
But do they know, like when they're coming to you, do they know what blocks or limiting beliefs they have, or sometimes they don't even know? Can you help them discover? Or
yes,
because there are like 10,000 of limiting beliefs, and probably you are not aware of all of them. So.
Exactly, 100%. Some people know, right? Some people know. They might come to me and say something along the lines of, I have difficulty asking for what I'm worth and what my business is worth, what my work is valued at. I don't feel confident asking for that price, right? And they might say something like, I know where it comes from. It's because when I was younger, it was very difficult for me to get any money. And my parents, anytime I asked them for money, they were very strict about it. And they made it painful to ask for money for anything that I needed, right? And so they adopt this belief that asking for money is hard, right? So what we don't realize and what we're not taught is that before the age of 8, you adopt the majority of your beliefs and fears that dictate your behavior in adulthood.
I hope I didn't screw up my child.
It's so crazy, and kids have a very amazing, powerful imagination, right? They have imaginary friends. Anything you tell them, it's like, it's so vivid and so real, right? We are in a state of heightened suggestibility when we are younger. Our brain is developing, and we are literally being programmed by everything in our surroundings. Your parents program you. Your teachers program you. Your classmates, the things you watch on television, the movies you watched, the cartoons you watched, right? All of these things impact how you view the world and how you think the world functions. And so I'll give you a simple example. Let's say a little boy named Timmy is in his bedroom. He's about to go to sleep. His mom walks into the bedroom to give him a good night kiss and turn off the light for him. He's 5 years old, and she kisses him goodnight. And right before she turns off the light, she sees a spider. Now, Timmy has never seen a spider, ever, right? Not even in cartoons, not on television, ever. And so she sees a spider, and she's afraid of spiders. So what does she do? She freaks out. She goes, ah, right? And she calls her husband, Jonathan, there's a spider in Timmy's room. Come kill it, right? And she freaks out. What has Timmy learned in a matter of 2 seconds? He's learned spiders are dangerous and you should stay away from them. Now, the question is that Timmy's fear, or is that his mom's fear? That's his mom's fear. But that fear has now been transferred just like that. In a fraction of a second, he's learned that this thing is dangerous. And guess what? Maybe she was never hurt by a spider. Maybe she learned it from her parent. Maybe she learned it from a TV show she watched when she was younger, right? But she's passing this on. And so very quickly, we learn to have these fears. And what a lot of people don't know, and this is mind-blowing, we are only born with 2 fears. We're only born with the fear of loud noises and the fear of falling. So much so, this is true, that back in the days, several generations back, I'm not sure, maybe your grandparents did this, to check if a newborn child's brain was functioning properly, they would drop him a little bit like this, and the child would do this thing with their hands as if gripping onto something. So that's checking that automatic reflex we have. And then they would also clap. And the child, the baby, the newborn would be startled. That shows that that's functioning properly. And so we are born with this. It's not something that we learn. But every other fear we have, it's a fear that was learned. Every belief is something that was learned. The things that dictate our behavior, these are things that we have been programmed to believe, consciously or unconsciously, by the people around us, by the media, by our family, by our friends, by our teachers. And so the only reason why you have fear of success, failure, or rejection, the only reason you feel unworthy or maybe incapable of doing something, or undeserving of love or undeserving of success, the only reason you self-sabotage and you do things that you know you shouldn't be doing is because that younger version of you is making your decisions for you. That younger version of you is deciding your fate for you. Now, what I say all the time is, you wouldn't sit in a car that a 5-year-old is driving, right? That would be silly. That would be very dangerous. So why are we letting a child make our decisions for us? And so we have to reprogram our subconscious mind and get rid of all those limiting beliefs, get rid of all those fears and those things that hold us back from being our best selves and achieving what we want to achieve. Some people know what their limiting beliefs are because the past trauma or whatever it is that they have is very clear. But for those that don't know, on the very first call that someone has with me during the free consultation, the consultation call is where we discover what their problem is and what the approach would be to solve it. On that call, in a matter of 5 minutes, I have a process that allows them to discover from their subconscious mind what is the underlying past traumatic event and what are the underlying limiting beliefs that hold them back from doing the thing that they are doing.
When I heard you first time talking, it was on Clubhouse, and the discussion was about fear of failure versus fear of success. And what I remember about that talk, it's that fear of failure and fear of success are related concepts, but the distinction between them, it's important. Often a person might believe that is a fear of failure, that it's stopping them from trying or achieving something in their professional or personal life. However, exploration may lead to the discovery that it's actually a fear of success, which is far less understood and acknowledged compared to the fear of failure. Could you tell us more about this?
Yeah, it's very interesting, right? Because anything that we feel, whether it's a good emotion or a bad emotion, comes down to the meaning that we give something. What a lot of people don't realize is that everything is meaningless until you give it meaning. And you cannot feel an emotion unless you've given something meaning. So the way that our brain functions, in order for us to feel an emotional response, first there's a stimuli we have to be exposed to. There's sensory input, data, right? Electromagnetic frequencies coming through the eyes, sound frequencies coming through the ears. But then we have to give that information meaning. After we give it meaning, then and only then do we feel an emotional response. We feel an emotion, whether that's positive, right, or negative, and then we have a reaction to that emotion. So to answer your question, I'd like to go on a little bit of a tangent first to bring some clarity to that. For example, you have two people. They both have a grandfather that is terminally ill with cancer at the hospital. Both of them are in the same situation. Both grandparents are suffering, and it's their last days, right? Both of them die. One grandson cries hysterically. He is angry at life, angry at God, angry at whatever he worships, right? Angry at everything, so unsatisfied, depressed, upset, all of these terrible feelings, right? Why is this person feeling this way? In their head, they're saying, damn it, why? Maybe they're a religious person, right? They might tell their God, why did you have to take him away from me? How could this happen to me? Blah, 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 right? The other grandson, in contrast to that, of course, feels sad, right? Because they love their grandfather. But he goes, well, I wish he would have stayed with me, but at least he's not suffering anymore. So they feel better. Of course, they feel sad, but they're not angry, right? What's the difference there? Is the event the same or different? Same event, right? Is the situation is exactly the same. The emotion, is it the same or different? Different emotion. Is the reaction same or different? Different reaction. So what changed? The change, the thing that twisted everything around, was the meaning that they each gave to that event. Another example, somebody that comes to me, and this has happened, for fear of flying, right? They're afraid of flying when they are in an airplane. They're super anxious. They're nauseous. They vomit. They get diarrhea, all this stuff. They have to take pills for the anxiety. When I ask a person that's afraid of flying why they feel anxious, they'll say, well, the airplane makes me anxious, right? But is that true? If the airplane made them anxious, wouldn't everyone on the plane feel the same anxiety? Right? So what is it that's making that person feel anxious if it's not the airplane? What is it that this man in this airplane is panicking, right? Heart is beating super fast, blood pressure is elevated, breathing rate is faster, he's shaking, nauseous, feels like vomiting, probably already did, had to take some medication, all these changes in his physiology, and the guy next to him is sleeping, calm and relaxed. The difference is in the meaning that they're giving that experience. The person that is on that airplane panicking is giving a negative meaning to this. He's saying, well, we're not going to arrive at our destination. We're going to crash into a big ball of fire and smoke. He's imagining a worst case scenario. What is anxiety and fear? It's just imagining worst case scenarios. So if you stop imagining those worst case scenarios, you stop feeling those bad feelings. The reason why this man is feeling this way is because, for example, when there's turbulence, which is perfectly normal, when the airplane starts shaking because of the turbulence, he interprets it as something dangerous, as a sign that something bad is going to happen. And so the other person feels the turbulence and doesn't mind it one bit. Why? Because they're not interpreting it as something dangerous. What are they focusing on? The man that is anxious is focusing on this picture, this movie in his head that he will never arrive. This picture, this movie in his head that they'll plummet towards the face of the earth and go bang in a big ball of fire. But the other man, what is he focusing on? He's focusing on how he's finally going to be able to hug his wife when he arrives at the airport. He's going to meet all these new people and see these new places in this new vacation spot. He's going to finally enjoy some me time at the beach and feel the sand at his feet while having a cocktail after working so hard for so many months. A well-deserved vacation. They're focusing on something different. And so because they're focusing on something different, they're feeling a different emotion. And so why do I bring this up when you ask me about fear of failure and fear of success? Fear of failure is just like any fear, you're anticipating something bad is going to happen. Fear of failure is simply you're anticipating that you're going to fail. Just like the guy in the airplane anticipates that he's going to die on this plane trip. So where does this come from? It comes from probably failing in the past. That's something they did. Probably someone in their past telling them you're going to fail, right? Or it's way too difficult. There's too much competition. Or some form of limiting belief. They hear it or they see it in someone else. And then they model that after that person, especially if it's someone that you look up to, like a parent. If your parent believes that it's difficult to succeed without going to college, then it's likely that you're going to believe the same thing. If your parent believes that you need to have a safe and secure job at an office working for someone else, and that that's the only way for you to be successful, then it's likely that you're going to believe that too. And so when it comes to fear of failure, it's something in the past made that person learn the fear of failure. When it comes to fear of success, something in the past made that person learn to fear success. They're different in that the person that's afraid of failing just doesn't believe they're capable of succeeding. The person that's afraid of success doesn't think they deserve that success. That's the difference. I'm not worthy of success. What if I can't handle it? What if it's too much for me? Right? So it's also an identity level issue. But on the point of fear of failure, I want to bring the listener's awareness to this simple truth. And that is that when we were all young, when we were all babies, when we were learning to walk, we didn't just get up and walk, right? It took a lot of tries. We had to get up and fall, try again and fall, and do that over and over and over again. But whenever we fell, because we didn't know how to stay balanced on our 2 feet, did we whine and cry and complain? Did we go, oh, I couldn't stand. Oh no, I couldn't walk. We didn't do that. Our brain saw it as a learning process. And every time we fell, we were simply learning. And that's what was happening. What not to do next time we tried. And so we didn't complain. We didn't see it as a failure. We saw it as feedback. And that's a fundamental thing we must understand. There's no such thing as failure. There's only feedback. There's only learning. If something didn't work, instead of asking yourself, why am I such a failure? Why is it that nothing works for me? We have to change our internal dialogue and say, what can I learn from this experience? What can I do differently next time so that I don't get the same outcome, so that I get a better outcome? And so what that shows us, the fact that we all were okay with falling and getting back up again, and now we all walk, unless we have some sort of disability. What that shows us is that this fear of, quote, failing is something that we learned after being born. It's not something we are born with. It's something that we have learned from other people, you know? So that's where that comes from. That's why we have it. And that's why we have to unlearn those patterns.
There is one thing that I find absolutely amazing about most of us. Sometimes we know exactly what we should be doing with our time, with our lives. And despite knowing all of that, we just don't act on it. It just becomes one of those things, that we talk about, we dream about and obsess about, but it never makes it way into our reality. So it's not that easy. We keep on repeating the same thing over and over again.
Well, that's the thing. That's the big issue my clients come to me for, right? They tell me, well, I know what to do, right? And I try all these things and nothing works. Why? That's the question. Why is it that it's so difficult? Why do people spend years going to therapy, trying to eliminate anxiety, trying to eliminate fear, trying to get over a past traumatic experience? Why does it take so long? I'll tell you. And I'll tell you that when you say it's not that easy, that's a limiting belief. It is that easy. In a single session, everything I do, it's a single session, problem solved. Why? And what's the difference? What am I doing differently? Well, let's go back to the story of Timmy with the spider fear, the spider phobia. Timmy's mom reacts in this way to the spider, And now when Timmy grows up and he's 25 or 30, he has a phobia of spiders. He has arachnophobia. And he doesn't even know where it came from because he forgot that experience when he was a kid. But he has this very real fear. The question is, how long did it take him to learn to fear spiders? Seconds, right? And so just because you've had a fear for 25 years doesn't mean it's going to take another 25 to get rid of it. It takes this long to adopt the fear. It takes just as quickly to get rid of it. And so how can we do that? Right? That's the big question. What's the secret? Well, the thing is, we have to understand how the mind works. We have a conscious mind and we have a subconscious mind. The conscious mind is surface level. This is your logical brain, okay? Your neocortex, what you do your logical thinking with, your awareness, okay? This only controls 5% of the things that make you who you are and that dictate your behavior. So your beliefs, your habits, your fears, your motivations, your identity, your self-worth, your self-image, your self-talk, your blueprint of how the world functions. You can only control 5% of that with your conscious mind alone. 95% is subconscious, meaning we're mostly running on autopilot. We are doing the same things today that we did yesterday, and we're doing them automatically. And what is dictating those behaviors, those habits, those fears, those beliefs, the self-talk, that inside voice, right, that holds us back, that happens automatically. And you're like, why am I telling myself that, right? Why do I keep doing that same thing over and over that I know is bad for me? Is because we're running subconscious programs that have been written since our youth, since our birth. As we grow up, and this is what I've been talking about, we've been programmed to believe certain things, to fear certain things. And so the reason why counseling doesn't solve the issue, therapy takes so long, reading books doesn't solve the issue, is because all of that is just knowledge. It's just conscious mind solution to try and solve a subconscious mind problem. You see? So you can't use your conscious mind to solve something that's deeply rooted in your subconscious mind. And so people come to me, they're like, I've done coaching, I've read the books, I've done all this, and I still don't feel motivated. I still feel fear failure or fear success, and so I don't take action. I still procrastinate. How come? What's wrong with me? Nothing's wrong with you. What's happened is something in your past has programmed in you this limiting belief, this fear, this barrier, this subconscious block that's holding you back from taking action. That's just one example, right? But why is it that I'm able to do this so quickly? Because hypnosis and neurolinguistic programming, which is in the name, neuro meaning brain, linguistic, language, and programming the brain through language, and hypnosis are able to access the subconscious mind, bypass the conscious mind, bypass the critical faculty, and make profound changes at a subconscious level so that the person's running a different program. So whenever, for example, somebody that smokes cigarettes, they might be running this program that whenever they drink coffee, they feel the craving for cigarettes. Whenever they have wine, they feel the craving for cigarettes. After they have sex, they feel the craving for cigarettes. So what if we could rewire the subconscious so that they can have coffee and wine and eat and all the things without feeling the craving for cigarettes? Well, that's possible. And so the only way that we can make these profound changes in behavior and beliefs and eliminating fears and things like that and changes at an identity level is if we reprogram the subconscious mind. And the way that hypnosis works is too complicated to explain over the scope of this conversation, but in its simplest form, all hypnosis is a strategic use of language and communication used to direct attention, lead your cognition, and implant ideas in the subconscious mind to alter your experience of reality by bypassing the critical faculty. And the way that that happens is by inducing a hypnotic trance. In hypnosis, you go into a trance. Going into a trance is a shift in your brainwave state. It's going into theta and then even deeper into delta, where really profound change happens. And then, boom, open gates. We can change what's going on in the subconscious mind through hypnotic suggestions, through a very strategically constructed language that allows us to rewrite those programs. So that's in a nutshell what that is. And the belief that it is difficult to change simply comes from having tried all these things that don't work. Going to therapy for a year to try and get over some past trauma and still feeling the pain from that past trauma. And therapy is great. I'm not bashing it. It's fantastic if you want to discover what is the source of your problem. But if you want to fix the issue, if you want to feel different very quickly, it's not the best way to go.
O scurtă pauză să-i mulțumim sponsorului de astăzi. Cred cu tărie că fiecare dintre noi are o pasiune pe care, măcar pentru o secundă, s-a gândit cum ar fi să o transforme într-un business. Știu că dacă asculți podcastul acesta, tu cu siguranță ai făcut-o. Dar pentru a putea începe să-ți dezvolți pasiunea în business, ai nevoie de diferite tool-uri. Și pentru că diferența dintre am o idee și totul a început cu o idee este o ofertă bine negociată, Visa a pregătit pentru tine o platformă în care găsești discounturi pentru diferite servicii, cum ar fi Smart Bill, Fan Courier, Tren Consult, Vodafone, Regina Maria și multe alte tool-uri. În lumea micilor afaceri, detaliile fac diferența. Intră pe visa.ro/marile afaceri mici și vei găsi ofertele partenerilor Visa potrivite pentru afacerea ta. How many sessions do we need?
Well, for everything that I do is one session and done. For things where you have to uncover this jar of what's the origin of this person's issue, and there are many layers to that issue, then we have to tackle all those layers so that this pattern of behavior is now changed. So that would have a more rounded approach to then change the outcome. But if it's something as simple as, quitting smoking or nail biting or past trauma, anger or something like that.
Quit smoking, simple.
Very easy. Very easy. Well, there are three beliefs that hold us back. If you're a smoker, that hold you back from quitting smoking. Belief number one is, I can't quit. I have tried. Belief number two, cigarettes are doing something for me, like calming me down, controlling my anger, etc., etc. And number three, I'm addicted to nicotine. So all three of those are false. All three of those are false. Now, you say you like it, but you actually don't. What you like is the feeling. No. What you like is the feeling that it gives you when you smoke. And what we have to realize, and what a lot of smokers don't know, is that the feeling you get from smoking does not come from the cigarette. It comes from your brain. Nothing. You want to continue smoking?
I do, actually.
Interesting. Well, that's something that I encourage people to think about, right? Does it make sense that we're putting thousands of poisonous chemicals, literally a cocktail of poison, in our body that's making our skin wither away, our eyesight, our teeth, our sense of smell, our sense of taste, our lungs, our heart, literally squeezing our arteries? Does it make sense? Well, there's no other way to put it, right? There's no other way to put it. This is how I put it for my clients. I do the math for them, right? Let's say, for example, a person smoking 1 pack a day, which is kind of the average, and a pack costs them $13. Every pack has 20 cigarettes. So let's say they're smoking that a day. So that's $13 for a whole year at $13 a day. That's $4,745. If we multiply that by 10 for a decade, that's $47,450 in 10 years. And then you think about, well, how long have they been smoking for? If they've been smoking for 20 years, that's $94,900 wasted on literally making their health wither away, on putting something in your body that is literally killing you and those around you, and shaving years off of your life. Now, here's the picture that I paint for people. Imagine someone knocked on your door 20 years ago. If you've been smoking for 20 years, they're like, hello. You open the door, and this guy says, hey, yes, I'm selling this little cocktail with thousands of chemicals in it, none of them which you should have in your system. They will make your skin wither away, your eyesight, your sense of smell, your sense of taste, your teeth, your hair. You'll smell bad. People won't want to be around you. It will hold you back from spending time with your family. And when you're in a dinner with people that you care about, you'll have to step out in the rain by yourself to have a little bit of it. You'll have to shower twice because the smell is so strong. It will literally make you have lung cancer. You might get gangrene and have to be amputated because of your blood circulation. And then the guy says, well, listen, the guy says, well, why should I stop? This is killing you, right? And then the guy says, you get enough supply for 20 years and all it's going to cost you is $94,900. Would you buy? Well, of course not. It makes no sense. So what I want people to understand is that human behavior is very simple to understand. The only thing that we're looking for, and this is not happening at a logical level. We don't act based on logic. We act based on emotion, and then we justify with logic. This is why you have this conflict, which we call cognitive dissonance. You're going in your head right now, well, what have I been doing? I don't want to hear this because this is crazy. I feel so guilty now, right? But what's really going on is that everything that we do is in the avoidance of pain and discomfort and the pursuit of pleasure and comfort. And this is your mammalian brain. This is your limbic system. This is the less evolved part of your brain. We have a triune brain, a reptilian brain, mammalian brain, and then the neocortex, your logical thinking brain. And so the mammalian brain is always looking to avoid pain and discomfort and go towards pleasure and comfort. The only reason why somebody smokes is because they think smoking is going to give them pleasure or comfort or avoid pain and discomfort. So you find that people learn mostly, for the most part, to smoke when they're teenagers. And the reasons are either to fit in, to be cool, and get that feeling of belonging and connection with their peers and feel significant, feeling more important, like they're part of the cool squad, right? Or they're trying to use the cigarette as a way to cope with stressful things going on at home with their parents, maybe divorce. Maybe it's a way to get attention from their parents. Maybe it's a way to rebel against what people say they should or shouldn't do because they have this rebellious way about themselves. So whatever it is doing something for them psychologically to that mammalian part of their brain. But is it really calming them down? Is it really cool? Is it really letting go of the stress? No, it's not. I'm going to blow your mind right now, and anyone listening. If you smoke cigarettes, here's why you feel relaxed when you smoke. 2 reasons. Number 1, when you learn to smoke, you're not stressed. You're relaxing with your friends in front of your home, in the balcony, in the front porch. You're linking, subconsciously, the act of smoking with relaxation, just like people link alcohol with hanging out with friends. Because when you learn how to drink, you do it at parties or at a bar where you're socializing with friends. So then what happens with the alcohol? Whenever you're at a party and you feel shy and you don't want to talk to people, your next instinct is, oh, let me go grab a drink so I can loosen up. But does the alcohol actually make you more confident? No. It's what we call a subconscious anchor. The same thing happens with the cigarette. So the cigarette has been anchored to that relaxation. This is why many people that quit smoking, they put a toothpick in their mouth, or they put something in their mouth because that fools the brain into thinking that they're smoking. But what's really happening is the subconscious has anchored, it has associated, it has linked having something in your lips with the release, the chemical release in your brain of chemicals that make you feel calm. That's reason number one. Reason number two is smoking forces you to take a deep breath. Let's look at that. When someone smokes, here's what you do. You hold it and then out really, really slow, right? Now, what a lot of people don't know, and this is incredible, is that how you breathe controls how you feel. If you make your inhale longer than your exhale, you're going to activate the sympathetic nervous system. You're going to become alert. Okay? You're going to get a boost in energy. If you make your exhale longer than the inhale, and this is why every time you have people, they're teaching you how to meditate, they tell you make the exhale longer than the inhale. It activates your parasympathetic nervous system response, and that releases feel-good chemicals in your brain, and now you feel calm. So if you're doing that 10 times while smoking, you're triggering all these amazing feel-good chemicals in your brain, but then we attribute it to the cigarette. The fact is, if you were to do the same, just 3 breaths like that, without a cigarette, just on your own, you would automatically eliminate feelings of anxiety, feelings of stress, and even the fear response. So that's another thing. If you feel anxious, if you feel anxiety coming on, just breathe like a smoker breathes. Take a deep inhale, hold it for a little bit, and then exhale really slow as you can, 3 times, and automatically the anxiety response will go away. But yeah, to answer your question, the reason why people find it difficult and why it takes them so long to change is because they're working at a conscious level of awareness and not reprogramming the subconscious mind that's actually dictating their behavior.
Do you need to be hypnotized in your native language? Because I'm thinking native language is understood differently in the brain than learn foreign language. So can you be hypnotized in a foreign language if you are fluent in it? If you are able to understand every word?
No, so as long as you can understand what I'm saying, it doesn't matter how well you speak, right? If you can understand what I'm saying, then it will work for you. And hypnosis works on everyone because everyone is hypnotized every single day without them knowing, actually. Yeah, if you can't understand, then it's not some magic thing or a spell that I'm going to cast that's going to make you feel different. No, you have to understand what I'm saying for it to be processed by your subconscious mind. And also for you to know what's happening, right? So yeah, if you don't fully understand English, then look for someone else. I also work in Spanish because I am bilingual. So I also do that as well.
So tell me, what projects do you have going on now?
Oh, so many things. Well, mainly what I'm doing right now, so I have 2 businesses. One is the mentalism business. So I'm now doing virtual events, virtual entertainment for corporate meetings, seminars, those employee appreciation events. And especially right now, right? You have this pandemic that's made people work from home and working extra hard. Just imagine, and I'm sure many of you listening know how difficult it is. Now your kids are at home because they're not going to school, probably, and you're having to deal with that while you're working from home. And there's so much stress.
Super annoying.
Super annoying, right? So much stress. Mm-hmm. You also have the uncertainty of am I going to make enough money? Am I going to lose my job? Like so many concerns, so many questions. What about the health of my parents and this, that, and the other? And so companies rely on their staff and their employees really pouring in and giving their time and attention. So for people that are leading these groups, these organizations that have been struggling with these things, it's very important for the CEOs to acknowledge all the hard work that their employees have been putting in, to know that they're appreciated. And people that are appreciated and feel appreciated, they perform better, right? So that's wonderful. If you bring everyone together and they share in this fun show that's very interactive and engaging and exciting, then they feel really good. And now they're energized and things don't have to be just work, right? We also need time to relax and wind down and clear our heads. So that's something that I'm putting a lot of attention into right now as well. And then the other part is, of course, my one-on-one coaching and hypnosis clients. And soon after certain amount of time, I'm going to be moving into doing group coaching. And that's going to be likely a 9-week program, 3 weeks wealth, 3 weeks health, 3 weeks relationships. So again, a very well-rounded approach where everyone's they get to support each other and they keep each other accountable and they can all ask questions. And just like in my one-on-one hypnosis and coaching clients, they get support throughout the week via private chat and, all that wonderful stuff. They can ask me any questions. So something like that, but in a group setting. Down the road, before the pandemic, I had put together an NLP training course that I plan to do in person with real people, and then the pandemic happened.
Soon, hopefully.
Right. Yeah, soon. Hopefully. And it could also be virtual. So I'm trying to think how I can manage and do the same thing virtually. But I think it's also possible to do it in person now. It's just a matter of making everything comfortable and safe for everyone involved. But that might be something that I'll do soon. But even before that, I see myself doing some seminars, doing some lectures, some masterminds, things like that, where people can learn about things that they're not taught in school, unfortunately, like how to control your emotions instantly, how to get rid of fear and anxiety, how to find limitless motivation and drive to do the things that you should be doing, how to be disciplined, all this stuff that we're not taught, and how to actually apply this neuroscience to your life so that you can get the results you want and you can feel happy and fulfilled. So that's where I see things going. Sharing, just continuing to share with people how much power they have. We don't realize how much power we have, how much in control we are of our emotions. Nothing.
It feels like we might have, but we don't actually.
Well, because we don't know. We have immense potential and power and control. Nobody else can control your emotions but yourself. The issue is that when you don't know how to control your emotions, other people are controlling them for you. So the reason why you feel powerless and you feel like the tides and the waves are controlling how you feel and things out there dictate your behavior and your emotional state is because you're not controlling it yourself consciously. So you're on autopilot and people are just programming you and swaying you in whatever direction they wish. Fear is a big thing. Like right now, there's a ton of fear that's not exactly justified, if we're honest, and people do things that are out of character because of fear, because of anxiety, because of stress. And, lots of violence and things like that, because it's, again, the mammalian brain. You're not thinking logically when you're afraid. So that brings a lot of problems with it. It's because we're letting outside things control us. And that's because we're not being masters of our own mind. We're letting the mind, the less evolved part of our mind, control our life, that 5-year-old child inside.
I will gonna anyway put all the links to your website and your social media, but tell us where we can find you.
Yeah, so if you're interested in the virtual events and also in-person events, if you're in the United States, you can visit lancesinclair.com/virtual. That's LANCESINCLAIR, no E at the end, .com/virtual. You'll find out more information there. You'll see testimonials and all that good stuff. If you're interested in hypnosis and hypnotherapy, or even just finding out more and seeing if this is a good fit for you, then you can visit lancesinclair.com/hypnosis. So yeah, that's really it. You can find me on Instagram at Lance Mentalist. That's MENTALIST. That's the same on Twitter. And on Facebook, just look up Mentalist Lance Sinclair.
You have a ton of testimonials, by the way.
Yes, well, I don't have to convince anyone of anything, right? I think if we do something good for the world, then results speak for themselves, right? And again, if you have any questions for me and you want to reach me directly, you can email me as well. That's contact@lancesinclair.com.
Și asta a fost tot pentru astăzi. Dacă ți-a plăcut, nu uita să te abonezi, să fii la curent și cu restul episoadelor. De asemenea, Dacă cunoști persoane care crezi că s-ar bucura să asculte, le poți trimite episodul. În felul acesta mă ajuți să duc informația la cine are nevoie să o audă.